Good evening, guys. Good afternoon. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports. I'm in the studio with my man David Soderquist and the man, the myth, the legend.
Who's that?
Oh, Beckett, Tiger Walker. Boys and girls, look at this. How we doing, boys and girls? Welcome back to the show. It's the best day of the week. Let's get boogity with it. It is Wednesday. We have a jam-packed show. I feel like at any time it starts to get slow or a little, down in the weather, Billy Ballsack and the boys keep busy. Whether it's a recruit, a new coach, the stadium's getting tore down, they keep it moving and grooving for us. And you know what? I appreciate them allowing for us to have something to talk about in the middle of February. Okay? Because Steve and I were talking about it today at work. Last year this time, our buddy Ricky was getting married. You're good, buddy? Just headbutted himself. Getting married today, which was last year, was a Tuesday. So we missed Wednesday, and the following Wednesday we were sick. And it didn't matter because it was slow. But we're not missing any more days. We haven't missed a show since that Wednesday, by the way. But we're busy here. So welcome to the stream, boys and girls. I see you in the chat. Sorely, welcome back. I thought you broke up with us. We haven't seen you in a bit, so good to see you. F is Fanatics. Eddie, how we doing, boys and girls? Welcome to the stream. Little man's going to be here for a little bit. Oh, there's the wife. There you go. I just headbutted himself.
I was just waiting for you to tell me to get him. Yeah. Bye-bye.
We got old man Soderquist. How you doing, big dog? How you feeling today?
Let's get it. Let's go, baby.
Let's
I'm
rock.
ready. I'm pumped to start talking about this this breaking news that happened today. That actually I fell asleep last night when the whole DC thing was talked about, and I wake up to a nice surprise. So we got plenty to talk about here.
I saw it happening, and I was like, I'm just gonna digest in the morning. I'm going to bed, and we'll figure this shit out in the AM. You know what I'm saying? So, what we got jam packed. What we got jam-packed for you guys today, obviously you got some coaching changes, which is massive. The recruits, their thoughts on it, who we've got coming in, the players reacted to it, and that's an interesting thing that I want to go over. We're going to meet our new head coach. We're going to have him on the show. No, I'm just kidding. He's not going to be on the show, but we're gonna watch some of his clips, kind of get a vibe of who he is. From what I've seen already, I'm fired up. I got to be honest with you. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I'm jazzed up. You guys know how I am, always fired up, ready to rock and roll. And then we'll go over, obviously, the Swamp is getting a facelift. We'll talk about that a little bit. Thoughts, good, bad, ugly. Do we like it? Do we want it? Do we need it? And then we're going to flip over to Steve, and we've got a whole other, some other segments, non-Gator related, but definitely college football related. So make sure you guys stick around, stay tuned. Let's drop a like, show some love. Without further ado, boys and girls, let's dive right into it. So we got a new sheriff in town, Austin Armstrong, taking over old PT. And we also lost Piegler, the tight end coach, to Arizona as well. I believe, did you confirm what Patrick Toney's going to Arizona for?
I believe it was linebacker, but I'm not sure. It's obviously somewhere defensively. But I believe it was 4 linebackers like we discussed.
Yeah, I believe it is linebacker as well. So let's break this down. I did a poll on Twitter earlier today, and I said, how do we feel about the Patrick Toney moving on? Right? Hell yeah, are we excited? No, or are we afraid of the unknown? And that's something that's interesting because last year, if this would have happened in the middle of the season last year when Patrick Toney was giving up 3rd and 9s play after play, we would have been rejoiced. We wouldn't have cared if a paper bag showed up on the next Saturday to be the defensive coordinator. We would have loved it, right? But now everything's kind of settled. We're here. We're excited for the new season. The buzz has been electric. We have great recruits, transfers coming in. We're like, all right, let's rock. We're over. We're moving on, right? We believe in Billy. We believe in Patrick Toney. Let's go. And then we get dropped this bombshell. It's like, can we just catch a break? Can we just move in and get the ball rolling in the right direction? You know what I mean? And that's kind of where it's like today was a little bit of a bittersweetness, in my opinion. You're going to give your thoughts here in just a minute on how you felt about it. But it was kind of like how I felt about it is, look, I believe in Billy. I think Patrick Toney's going on to, move into the NFL. Good for him. The how it happened and how smooth it was. Again, something like this speaks volumes to how it's being ran, in my opinion. Now, we gave Kirby a little bit of flack. I know Uncle Lou did with the Mike Bobo transition. The same thing happened. It was a very smooth transition. Monken goes out. Bobo comes in. It was as if all parties were aware with what's going on. They communicated it because everybody was respecting one another, and it just happened seamlessly. The same thing, in my opinion, happened today, which I love. Shows that Billy's got things under wraps, under control, locked in. It all dropped at one time. There's no need to talk about it. There's no hunting. There's none of this. I know who my guy is. Let's move on. Next. right? Look,
Yeah.
I think we all saw what Patrick Pony did last year. I think most people are excited about it. That's why it was a 50-50. However, there is always the concern of the unknown. You don't know what's on the other side of the wall there. And that's what I keep mentioning too. We're always calling for Billy's head. Not always, but that's always been a conversation. Well, if not Billy, then who? This is the same thing. We were calling for Patrick Toney's head, and now we're like, well, shit. I didn't think we were gonna go get this guy. Well, then who? You know what I'm saying? Like, the splash hire isn't always gonna be there. Now, here's where I'm at it. I was really excited to see what Patrick Toney would be able to do in his second year with Billy, with his guys, the whole new process, etc. I am extremely excited for this guy, Austin Armstrong. The things that I've already looked up, his interviews, his charisma, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I love what he's bringing in. And then we're also going to talk about how it affects recruiting. But give me your thoughts originally on Patrick Toney leaving, and your thoughts. Are you excited? Are you indifferent? How are you feeling about it, Dave?
I'm a little bit indifferent. I mean, I'm kind of excited, but at the same time, a little bit indifferent. I mean, I wrote an article last year about Patrick Toney and midway through the season, what the defense looked like. And I'll take a quote from the article that I wrote. I said, out of the 19 defensive statistics that I've researched, Florida has bested the historically bad defensive numbers from 2020 in 12 categories and has gotten worse defensively. And it didn't look like the defense was getting any better towards the end of the year. Now you had the South Carolina game, you had the other half of the Texas A&M game. So we'll give him that. But statistically, when you look at it, 2020's defense historically was bad. 2021, it was a little bit better with Todd Grantham. You take the same team that Todd Grantham had with his recruits, you give him Patrick Toney, and it got much more worse, far more worse than 2020. Now, I will say these weren't guys that Patrick Toney didn't recruit, so I give him a little bit of a pass there. But when you look at the defensive numbers overall, it should have been nowhere near as bad as what it was. So, you know, every DC's, any kind of coach's dream is to go to the NFL anyway. So I don't blame Patrick Toney for going to the NFL. It would have been, I really kind of wanted to see where Patrick Toney was going to go with his guys and him getting his guys into the system and all that other sorts of nonsense. But really, I mean, when you look at how it all broke down, so you hear the news last night of Patrick Toney, you know, going to the NFL. Not even like 12 hours later, Austin Armstrong is hired as the new co-DC, takes Patrick Toney's place. So, you know, they already knew it looked like that was coming. And the fact that they already had somebody planned ahead of time to get, it just made it a little bit better for Florida Gator fans, I guess, at a thought standpoint there. And, you know, if you go and look at, you know, Alabama and how they recruit defensively and how they scheme defensively, of course, the defense hasn't been the same, I guess, since Kirby Smart has left, because the defense kind of took a step back. Not really. They're still they lead pretty well in some statistical categories in defense, but they really needed a guy to, you know, get them back over that hump when they lost Kirby Smart. And I'm pretty sure that I think they hired Steele as well. And they wanted Austin Armstrong to work with him. And I know a lot of Alabama fans were really upset. I went on the Alabama boards and I posted a couple of things on Twitter. But I mean, if you look at it, multiple programs, they inquired about Armstrong, and he goes to Alabama, obviously one of the best programs in the nation, you know. And then you look at what he did at Southern Miss, taking them from 60th to 42nd in total defense. You know, and I pulled stats here on Twitter that somebody had posted. They were number 42 in total defense at Southern Miss in 2022, number 24 in passing defense, number 2 in first downs allowed, number 3 in tackles for loss, number 5 in sacks, 7 in interceptions, 4 in fumbles recovered, 7 in defensive touchdowns, 6 in red zone defense, and 15 in turnovers gained. So pretty much a lot of these statistics are in the top 10. And, you know, I had a Miami fan message me and say, hey, look, Miami scored 30 points on Southern Miss and they only scored 7. Well, yeah, that's cool. Southern Miss had the 103rd talent ranked profile against their 12th ranked talent profile. And if you can hold a team to 30 points that has a 90 plus talent ranked profile than you do, I think that's pretty good, especially nationally. You're number 42 in total defense. I mean, that says a little bit. It says a lot. And he's a young up and comer. He kind of looks like Jim McElwain a little bit. If you look at him, he looks like a young Jim McElwain.
No. We're comparing him to
Take
Kirby.
away the shark.
Don't
take
put
away the sharks. And
don't put that on him like that. Don't
do the shark yet. So
don't do that to
not,
me. Don't ever repeat that ever again. Okay, why don't we put that out there? That's
All
unacceptable.
right.
That's
Yeah.
unacceptable.
I got you.
So yeah,
But,
look, I think.
mean,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say overall, I think it's a great hire to replace Patrick Tony. But overall, I can't. As the defense got worse with Patrick Tony, I started to run a little bit thin on what he could do at the University of Florida. But also, I wanted to give him that second year, third year, see what he could do. So it's really kind of like I'm kind of indifferent about either one of them. I'm just glad that they hired somebody that was capable in his place and somebody that was young too.
I love how you mentioned young. So Sorley said Armstrong just got off mama's titty last year. Good old young boy. He is young. I think he's like just over 31, 32. I like this. And I talked to you about this a little bit before, but the show as well. He's coached under Bailey before at Louisiana. He was just at Bama. For those of you that don't know, he got hired by Bama this year, about 3 weeks ago, to be the inside linebacker coach for Bama. Bama was very excited about it, obviously. And then we plucked him from the grasp of Saban. So if Saban was looking at him, that should be a good sign. He's also coached under Kirby Smart as well. And what's funny is I watched his interview, and the way he talks, right, reminds me of Kirby, just the way that his charisma, his tonality when he's speaking, it has very Kirby-like vibes. And I'll get into that when we play that here in just a minute, and I love that. But I love the youth part of this because this is the other part that I want to talk about as well. When we're talking about head coaches and these coaches in general and what they can bring, a lot of them have their own schemes. They've been coaching with guys. They understand the game, right? So what's the difference between the defensive coordinator at Bama, Florida, Miami, etc.? It isn't knowledge in my thought. It's more so, okay, how can these guys recruit? One, how well can they recruit? Two, how well can they relate to these players, right? So when these guys show up day in and day out, how bought in are they into the guy at the helm? How much are they willing to die by the sword for the guy that's running the defense or the offense or even the head coach, right? So that's number two, which to me, this guy gives me great vibes thus far. Number three is how well can they break down the film and the system to make you understand how to get better, right? Somebody can have all the knowledge in the world and be the smartest guy in the room, but if they can't describe it to you and break it down and make it to where you can understand it and digest it, you're going to struggle, right? Well, I come from sales, and there's a lot of guys that have a ton of knowledge about the product that we sell. That doesn't make them always a great salesperson because they have a hard time translating what they are trying to say or decipher to the next person and make it in layman terms, right? Something that I pride myself on is being able to take a complex situation and breaking it down to where you can understand it as if I'm teaching it to a third grader. And I think we're going to watch him break down some film, and I'm watching the film like, shit, I can go play linebacker now. Makes sense. Again, I haven't seen Patrick Tony. I can't compare it from this guy to the last guy, right? I understand that, but it just gave me really good vibes when watching this. And if someone like me can understand what he's saying, it's like, man, he's simplifying this process. If you can simplify the process and understand, like, hey, I know we have the 130th ranked, talent gap, etc. But if you can break it down and simplify what's going on and have the middle linebacker and your lineman and understand, like, hey, if X does that and Y does this, you do this. And I'm sure every coach is saying that, but it's how you're breaking it down and how you're deciphering it is what makes the difference. I think that's what I'm excited about from Austin Armstrong right now. So I love it.
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at Patrick Tony, how he broke down film too, I mean, I liked it as well. I mean, when I was watching him break down film and do all of the concepts and all the nonsense that he was doing on video, I liked what I saw. I still like what I see from Armstrong as well. But you talked to a lot of these players, and I interviewed them, and they talked about how difficult Grantham's scheme was. And then when Patrick Tony came in here, it was a lot more simpler. And, I mean, we had this discussion before the show, Shelton, and I said, well, was it really a product of, guys just not being bought in on the defense? I mean, was it that, or was it, maybe just Patrick Tony's defensive scheme doesn't work in the SEC? We won't know because we don't get to see year 2 or 3. We don't get to see his players play, in his defensive scheme. But overall, I mean, I've seen so many websites say, well, it's an upgrade from DC. So it makes me excited. The more I looked up about him and the more that I learned about him, and he's worked at Louisiana Lafayette as well. So they have familiarity. Billy,
it feels like when Billy got hired.
Too.
You remember when Nate Pitt got hired, everyone was like, what? And then like the hype slowly started building once you started doing some more digging and you talked and you heard people talk about him and interview him. Like, wow, we got like ourselves a little bit of a gym. Honestly, it's like Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz gets picked up. We're all like, what the hell is this? And then we're like, all right, well, we got to get down. We got to get nitty gritty with it. We got to start figuring out what's going on. And then we start digging into it. It's like, hey, well, I have a Heisman on our hands. Not really, but you know what I'm saying. Like we dig it up a little bit. It's like, look, it's not as bad as maybe we as Gator fans are assuming because it's not the big splash hire that everybody wants. You know, everybody loves a big name. But sometimes the big name isn't always ideal. I think, look, I trust in Billy. And I will preach this until it's not true. And so I believe in he went with who he felt is the best person for the job. And I'm excited for Mr. Armstrong for sure.
Yeah, and I'm not going to beat around the bush about a hire. If I don't like it, I'll say I don't like it. And if I do like it, I will. I do like this hire. Now on Twitter, I'll say something different because, of course, you know, the Twitter trolls out there, I'll just, just joke with them because I like to mess with them and all that. But, you know, as far as like just getting my personal opinion on it, I do love the hire. And I think he's going to make the defense better. Hopefully, it looks kind of like he runs 39% of the time he blitzes. I looked at some stat earlier.
I love some
today.
pressure.
I've lost it. Yeah, I'll have to do more research on Austin Armstrong, but man, I do like what a lot of people are saying about him.
Let's watch him break this down real quick, though.
Okay. So boom. All right, we told you this. I just said this, right? The edge player to the back and the opposite linebacker have this guy man-to-man. If he flares this way, he has him, and I cover him up. If he bullets or goes out this way, I just take him, and we just run the pressure. Here's a great clip to teach off of. This is something we do after the first day. All we do is do issues with the back. Once people figure out how we play, that's fine. There's a lot of good coaches out there, right? We create the issues for our players to work through, okay? So right here, they bullet the back. They motion him out. The wheel takes him. 13, he's away from the back. He's the low hole player for the down. Boom. We get here, affect the guy, right? Make an errant throw. Then again, right? Really good job by here. We're taking him.
Is that trash?
Boom, gave technique.
Yeah,
he does a good job of occupying the guard. Here, the center goes away because he sees this rush here. We come back here, affect him, get a shot on the quarterback. All right? Again, a couple of them for North Carolina. We got a tremendous amount of respect for them. Again, rush peel. We're reading the back. If the back flares, I'm C gap. If he steps up, I'm in the B gap. Really good job, right?
All right, so that's that, and then we're gonna have this quick interview here, which is absolute gold. That's not what I wanted.
There you go. Can't hear anything, Shelton.
Oh, you can't? All right, hold on. There you go.
All right,
There
Coach,
you
give
go.
me your thoughts on your scrimmage today.
Obviously we got to watch the tape. It was a long deal. Like I was just saying, it's hard to call scrimmage. They have so much volume. You're getting prepared for it. You got to pare down your calls and, allow your players.
All I wanted to show this for was for two things. One, it's great to put a face with the voice. Okay, it's gonna be great out here in Florida. Okay, we're gonna hit the lines hard. All right, we're gonna get down to practice every single day. We're gonna give it 110%. Okay, there ain't blood on the jersey. They ain't worked hard enough today. Okay, number two, and the most thing I'm excited for this entire season next year is I best see a nasty-ass Florida Gator visor on the sideline. I want a classic one just like this that he can get to throw around at somebody, that he gets to get wild with it, okay? This is the Kirby Smart-esque that we're talking about. So now we've got a little Nick Saban-esque and Billy coming in at head coach, and then we're bringing in a little mini Kirby, baby Kirby, into the DC, 29 years old, fresh out the womb. Son, tickle me pink and turn me up, baby, okay? I'm fired up.
Done.
Look, there's something to be said. And hear me out for a quick second. I know this is going to go 50-50 down the middle here, okay? This is what I want to speak to, too. I mentioned about what separates defensive coordinators. Again, scheme, there's a little bit of scheme, but a lot of it comes down to who they are as a person, how they can recruit, and how they can translate what they're trying to say, right? Again, something you said with Grantham, it could have been too complex, wasn't able to, sure, maybe he had a big brain, right? He could think of great schemes, but if you can't translate it onto the field and you can't have it to where your players can understand it, is it just bad or is it too complex and nobody has enough time to get a hold of it? Either way, it failed, right? Nobody really cares what it is. If it doesn't have success, you're considered a failure. Hear me out when I say this.
To go play. This is an evaluation. This is not go out here and see who can pencil whip each other.
We ain't here to see who can pencil whip each
Pencil
other.
whip.
The tonality. Listen to me really quick, okay? The tonality. For somebody, again, we are in sales. We have a guy in our sales department right now who has a British accent. When we interviewed him, we asked, what makes you think you're so successful at sales? He goes, it's the accent. And it is known that the British accent, it translates very well over here in America, that we eat it up. It doesn't really matter what they're saying. I bought 9 resolutions from this guy. He sits right across from me. I don't even need it. But because it's just listening to him, right, you buy into what they're saying. So this is, again, it's a small nuance. I'm not saying that this guy's country voice and draw is why he's going to be a great defensive coordinator. That's not what I'm getting at all. But these are the things that I like. These are small little just things that I like to see in a head coach or a defensive coordinator because, look, when they're up there talking, you're going to be bought into what they're saying. They're able to just draw you in with the voice, okay? Talk about it. We're going to pencil with one another today. You're going to cover the B gap if you do this. If he bubbles out to the right, you're going to cover up the C gap, okay? You hearing me? And look, I know people are going to give me a lot of shit for it, but I'm telling you, it's going to make a little bit of a difference, and I'm fired up about it for sure. I'm fired up. I love it. If that doesn't get a like, the country accent doesn't get a like, I don't know what will anymore, okay? Because I'm out here just pulling out all my whippersnappers, okay?
Yeah, take me to Waffle House, man. That accent's like, hey, Waffle House, you roll up, you get on that menu, you get that all-star special, all that stuff.
You're from Georgia. You know what it's all about. We do need a great one-liner. Do I need to clip pencil whipper until we can get some zingers out of Coach Armstrong? Because he's going to have a few of them in there that are just going to fire me up in the season. I promise you, what I'm ready for, what I need me some right now is I need me some interviews from old Coach Armstrong come pre-halftime, okay? Don't go to Coach Billy. I know we're going to get the same boring-ass response from Coach Billy. Take me to Coach Armstrong. I want the visor going up and down. I want the hair floating. How you feeling, Coach Armstrong? We weren't getting to where we needed to get fast enough, okay? We got to come out with aggression. We're going to be fired up when we get into the locker room. That's what I want to see. I want clips from Coach Armstrong going into next season. I got enough of Billy, okay?
Do you think we get like those coaches clips from like Kirby Smart when he's in there at halftime and he's saying the F word like 1,000 times?
That's what I'm hoping for. That's what we need. Look, and I've criticized Billy and being a basic Billy at times, right, where he keeps it very vanilla. Maybe this is the spice that we needed. Maybe he's adding a little bit of a flair. All I'm saying is I can't wait. I can't wait for. Is he going to go to? Can we bring him to SEC Media Day? Can Billy bring him with him? Is that possible?
All you got to do is bring some cornbread and chicken. He'll be right there.
Is he allowed to go to Media Day? I know typically the head coaches go. Are they allowed to go?
I'm pretty sure. I think it's just the head coaches that go to SEC Media Days.
Well, that's a bummer.
And then they
now,
got
dadgummit, if these linebackers don't get hit, we ain't gonna win. I love it. I know you boys love it. You fired up. Super chat from Dom. Let's see here. Says, Sid, where's my dollar autograph, you handsome man, you? Shelton, you suck farts on Madden. Love y'all. Keep going, Gators. By the way, pickle shirt on point. Dom's just a shit talker.
Rob S. said he looked like a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Dom looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid?
No, Armstrong.
Oh, Armstrong looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid. Don't do that to him. We're going
What
not
about
do
Garbage Pail Kids? You remember those?
I don't.
I'm too old, man.
Sorry.
Keep going. Keep going.
All right, let's move along. Well, so here's an interesting thing. So this is an article from On3. The players reacted to this, all of the recruits. Now, what's interesting here, so what first thing is we'll get into the current players. I saw a tweet from Derek Wingo and Princely, both kind of in the same camp of like, dang, like what happened? I went back to just a minute before the show started to pull those tweets. They were nowhere to be found. Which was very
deleted them.
Yeah, which was very interesting because Princely, who's been known to kind of get himself into a few tiffles on Twitter, just kind of going back and forth with fans and stuff, which I love. he typically leaves it. And I found it very interesting that both of these guys deleted their tweets. I don't know what happened.
So I saw both of them.
You did
but
see 'em.
You got to think too. Think about both of those guys. Like you went through Todd Grantham.
Sure. No, I hear you. Look, I get it. I'm not mad at them. I think they were in the right for what they said. I wasn't criticizing them. I just found it. I thought they were okay for tweeting that. Princely said, "Man, I have to learn a whole new playbook." I don't think it's going to be that much difference, to be honest with you. You got a kind of the same guy. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be that crazy. But again, I think it did have a little frustration. It's like, golly, like it doesn't stop.
Yeah, I mean, like I can understand like a player's frustration and having to switch coaches each year because that does get frustrating. But at the same time, I don't think it's not the fact that they're not excited for him to come there and learn whatever he wants to implement or anything like that. As I said, like a coach's dream is to go to the NFL. Or in this case, we'll discuss, Kareem Reed going to the high school ranks once again. But I mean, every coach's dream usually is to go to the NFL. So it is understandable, I guess, from a standpoint as a student or a regular person that like, okay, well, he's just going to try to live his dream in the NFL because that's where a lot of these coaches want to go. That's where all the money's at. That's where the accolades of being the best in the world are at. And it's less stressful. You don't have to fly out and recruit.
You
don't have to do any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're working more as somebody in college than you are in the NFL. Of course, I'm not saying that people in the NFL don't work at all, but I mean, you're not having to fly everywhere. You're not having to do this. All you're having to do is worry about salary caps and coaching your players. That's it.
Sure. So here's some thoughts on, again, Piegler leaving the tight end coach. We've had a lot of tight ends that we've been looking at. Number 6 ranked tight end Caleb Odom says, "Yeah, it's crazy. I actually saw it on Instagram. Happy for Coach though. It's obviously going to affect my recruitment just a little bit, but I'm still looking forward to building with Coach Napier." That's an interesting take. Now, again, I think most of these guys and it should impact them a little bit. It's a little bit of a change, but how much of it is going to impact? I don't know. We'll see. Number 13 ranked tight end Kylan Fox. Oh, dang, I didn't even know that. Well, that definitely does affect everything now. I have to reevaluate. So we'll see. Says he does have a triple line depth for the spring. But he said I generally said I will be back. So hopefully he comes back and nothing. We kind of just keep the ball moving. Amir Jackson, who I made a video about comparing him to Kyle Trask, says, "Wait, huh? When? Wow, that's actually awesome, man. It doesn't affect anything. I'll still keep in contact." Good to hear on that. Number 28th ranked tight end Reiner Swanson says, "OMG, I'm so happy for him. That's incredible. Yeah, I'm very excited for Coach Piegler, and he deserves it 100%. The new tight end coach is a guy half as kind as Piegler. I would be super happy to come to Gainesville." So, and again, I think Piegler kind of started off a little slow last year, but he made a few strides in recruiting this year. And so, obviously, having these guys saying great things about him is something to be said. But it is interesting to see kind of these kids react. And again, with social media nowadays, it is fun to hear them and how it is going to impact them. And again, going from coach to coach can be a little exhausting, especially learning new schemes and how that process is, and you're building a relationship. And again, like I just said, learning a new playbook is different, but it's believing in the guy that you're going to go bleed on the field for. And if that's constantly changing, that's hard to really find, build a culture that way. Now, this isn't a knock on anybody. It's bound to happen. Look, the one positive I will say is that it is not a lateral move, in my opinion, even though he's going down. It's going to the NFL, so it's a progressive move. So it's like, look, I mean, opportunity knocked. I've got to rock and roll. So I think it'll be fine. I think it'll blow over pretty quickly. Look, I'm fired up to see what Armstrong's able to do when he comes in here. I'm ready to just to see what he implements and how these guys respond. We'll see kind of if we have any attrition. Again, I don't think we will. I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference. I honestly think with his age being 29, he's only 20 years older than these guys, just kind of is what we can kind of tell already, his charisma, just from the few interviews that I've watched. Again, I'm overreaching here, I know, but I think I'm excited to see what he's able to do and the relationships he's able to build. And again, Patrick Toney's, he's 32, but you can just look at him and tell he's like an old 32. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's 32 going on 45. Like, let's be honest, okay? And that's not a knock. That's just facts. Yeah. You guys know who you are, okay? It's okay. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 29. Yeah, I'm 29. I'm 29 going on 27. Okay, I'm still like a 14-year-old, okay? That's where I get the vibes from Armstrong. He's like 29 going on like a good old country boy 26, and like, I fuck with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and another thing to add is too, it's good that it happened in February and not like towards almost National Signing Day when you've already got kids committed that are most defensive kids. I mean, like the linebacker's different. I mean, that's a Jay Bateman relationship kind of thing. But like, it's good you didn't have a lot of defensive players committed already before, like National Signing Day. So
Plenty
you
of
can
time
still
to
establish
flip it.
a relationship. Yeah,
For
exactly.
sure. Now, it almost happened perfectly. It happened right after 2023 signing day, so nobody can bail out. And it happened.
Yeah, there you go.
It happened earlier enough to where 2024 necessarily can't be affected just yet. So,
Oh, they
good
can
to
bail
see.
out. Transfer portal.
True. That is true.
Now they will, though.
Let's go into really quick. Let's talk about the Swamps getting a makeover. I haven't seen too much about this, kind of people's opinions. I wanted to talk about it for a little bit. It's not going to be, from what I read, your typical, like, let's upgrade a few seats and throw in a Jumbotron. Like, it's going to be a pretty heavily facelift for Ben Hill. It's over a couple $100 million, is what you said?
Yeah, it's supposed to be over 100 million, and I'm hearing that they're gonna have to take some capacity away, but I'm not sure how much of the capacity they're taking away. But it depends on what they're adding and how they're adding it, and how it's gonna actually, I guess, change and transition the sights and the sounds of the swamp and make the atmosphere for the recruits and the people that come there to attend the games and even the players. How's it going to change the atmosphere of that stadium? Is it worth, not having a couple more 1,000 people in there, or 1,000 people, or however many seats they're going to have to take out of there? I don't know, but I'm all for the upgrades because that stadium needed the upgrades. I know a lot of people are like, well, why are they taking away some of the seats? I do not know. Just take away the student section, man. They show up late anyway.
Easy. The student section is the heartbeat of that stadium.
I'm kidding.
Here's my take on it. So, I'm a big Braves fan, and obviously I kind of talked about this before, but Atlanta played at Turner Field. When they left Turner Field, I hated it because, in my opinion, to me, Turner Field was all I had ever known. Obviously, Fulton County was there. They blew it up, and then it became Turner. I had a lot of, love and connection with Turner. It was all I'd ever known. So when they were moving, I was like, I hate this. I'm not going to like it. As soon as I showed up to the new stadium in Atlanta, I couldn't remember what Turner's first name was. Okay? I forgot about it immediately. When I went to Friday Night Lights at the Swamp last year, I was like, this bitch is old. They got to lock it in. With UF being what they are, we've rode on this high of like we're the University of Florida for so long, and I get that. And Ben Hill is an iconic stadium in the Swamp. It's in a barrel. It gets loud. I love all that. You got LSU with a damn tiger zoo underneath it. You know what I mean? You got Ohio State that is just an absolute gem of a stadium. It needs a little TLC. There's no reason why. I think it's all great. It needs some love. The seats need upgraded. You need the concession stands to need some love. You need more of them. It needs to be a better viewing experience, or not viewing, but just a better experience overall for the fans, for the recruits that are coming in. I think the players deserve upgrades underneath the stadium. I mean, even where the players walk out, it's really cool, but it's really outdated. It honestly is. Like if we're really breaking it down, like you walk in there, it's like this is a Power 5 collegiate, entrance tunnel. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I get it. There's history there, and I think history is very important. But eventually, it needs a little bit of TLC. So I think it's fantastic. I love it. Like I said, I think it's gonna be great. I mean, I think there is gonna be a fine line. You can't overdo it. You can't overdo it where we'll ruin things. Taking away some seating might piss some people off. If we go, I got yelled at before. I think it's like 88,000 right now. It's not 90,000 plus anymore. I know they can pack out 90,000, but I think actual seating's like 88, and I'm sure I'll get yelled at in the comments. It is what it is, but that's fact. You can Google it. And they dropped down to like 80,000. Is it that big of a deal? I don't know. I would like more seating. And blue LEDs, bro. I have, that's the one commonality that I have seen is like we need LEDs. We need LEDs. Like what y'all good, bro? What's the obsession with LEDs? Like behind the lights? Like I've seen this all. Dude,
I'm a light person, man.
You're
like
LED.
lights,
I mean, so am I. Look at the room. I mean, but like that's been the biggest thing. They just like it's got to look cool. It's got to look good at night. It's gonna look good tonight. All right, bet. Say less.
Yeah, I'm all about it. I mean, like if it takes away a few seats, yeah, that's fine. I'm all. It needed to be done. I mean, like even the facility was so late getting built. I mean,
Yeah,
so
we're
is
behind,
the
dude.
stadium renovations. We have to catch up, man. Like this is all a catching up process, and they said they were going to do it in phases too. So we don't know if it's going to be like off season they add something, and then another off season they add something, or maybe it's 2 months down the road. But I'm pretty sure they're not going to be building onto it when obviously it's during the football season, but
It's gonna take a
we'll
few
see.
years from what I read.
Yeah, I mean, I $100 million. Yeah, I would assume it would take a little bit to put all those kind of renovations into a stadium.
Absolutely. Moving on, we've got 2024 recruiting. Look, it's still a little quiet. I did see an article by Corey Bender where he talked about Elijah Rushing obviously being a big target of ours. His final thing was right now he still thinks he's going to stay in Arizona. So a lot of work to be done for Elijah Rushing, who is a 5-star athlete. But we do have a list here of visits happening in March. We expect things to pick up in March, obviously from visits as well as hopefully some commits. So on the 4th, right now, it looks like Lagway will be there. 4-star wide receiver Mario Craver. 4-star wide receiver BJ Gibson. 4-star OT Jonathan Daniels. 4-star safety Josiah Davis. And Fahim Delane 2025. I see on this list, Jeremiah Smith is not on here yet, which is the 5-star number 1 wide receiver who is currently committed to Ohio State. He is visiting in March. I don't see him on here yet. I just don't think there's a date that's been finalized. But when we had DJ on for Mad Mondays, he's working on getting him there for March 5th or 4th weekend.
Yeah, those lists too. I mean, they're consistently updated every day.
Sure,
So,
it's
I mean,
definitely subject to change.
Yeah, I mean, right now the list looks small, but it also, as I said, it's only March, and they're probably going to save a lot of these visits for the spring game, considering they still have it on a Thursday. I went last Thursday to the spring game, or last year when it was on a Thursday. I went to that spring game, and they had like a whole section full of like hundreds of recruits and their
Oh, dude, it
families
was
and everything
insane.
like that.
It was
It was
insane
insane.
last.
There was a whole and like right now, I mean that list will grow, but I am as I said, I'm pretty sure that most of the recruits and most of the elite recruits and their families are probably trying to be reserved for that spring game.
Yeah, right now the list from basically March 9th to April 1st, which is like 3 weekends basically. It's about 15 guys it looks like. All 4 stars, a couple 3 stars. I don't see any 5 stars currently. Again, the list is subject to change. Right now there's only 4 people committed to the spring game. That's obviously going to change.
Also, early in a recruiting cycle, you're not going to have that many 5 stars until they expand the star ratings and all that other kind of stuff. You really just at the beginning of the cycle, you got to look at just kind of like where they're ranked. I mean, the
Sure, we're
stars
we're fresh into it for sure. Again, the one thing I will say is that we've got a lot of tight ends on the list this year. I don't feel like we had the first 2 go-arounds for Billy. It was very thin on who we were talking to tight ends. We've got a list of 6 or 7 tight ends that we're talking to now, which, again, the reason for is you talk to 7, you land 1 or 2, right? So
we need a tight ends coach.
Very much true. Got to pick up on that. So, but I like the fact that we're still talking. You know, we're talking to multiple ones. Before it didn't feel that way. Obviously, the linebacker room's already healthy, the healthiest it's been thus far. So we're making moves in the areas that we were weakened. I think wide receivers, we showed that we do a great job there. We already have a running back in there. So we're making up for the lackluster areas that we struggled in the years prior. Again, it's so early, and I think we're trying to reach for something that isn't there yet because I'm just ready to get 2024 started. Every time I talk to Dave, Dave's like, I haven't even looked at it yet. I'm like, well, Dave, okay, all right, Dave, lock it in.
Hey, you start getting excited towards the spring. Now, as far as, like I
Sure.
said, tight end, now, I know there was a question here in the YouTube channel. We didn't even go over some of the candidates for the new tight end. I'll throw 3 names out here that I've heard and
Okay.
that's been thrown around. And
Okay,
2
for
of
the new
them
tight end
you're
coach?
gonna like. Yeah, 2 of them you're gonna like. One of them you're gonna be like, whatever. Eric Kisu, or I guess Kisaw, it's from Auburn. Obviously he's over there at Auburn. That's a name that's out as a candidate. But then you got Jawan Sider. Everybody knows about him. Pretty good hire right there. And Jeff Scott, another good hire right there. So those are the 3 names that are being thrown around right now.
Scott, the USF guy?
I don't know if there's going to be any. Huh?
Is Jeff Scott the
Jeff
USF
Scott, yeah.
from USF, right?
Yeah, he's worked under Billy Napier before too, I believe. So
Yeah, I saw a lot of
I
noise
mean,
from Jeff Scott.
yeah, so everybody knows about Jawan Sider. He used to coach here at Florida, did running backs. But, I mean, two names that are pretty good names that are out there, and then one that's kind of just like, well, what I hope that we get one of the other two names there, but we'll see.
All right, 1 second.
Did you freeze up on me, Shelton?
No,
You
I'm
didn't do
here,
a
I'm
Holly
here.
to me, did you?
I'm here. I'm
Okay,
here.
all right.
All right. So I think, look, I was shocked y'all haven't talked about AR projected as a number 1 pick from CBS. I'm pretty sure Homeboy myself projected him yesterday and got a lot of shit for it. So I'm basically ESPN now.
I was
So
about to say
suck
we were
it.
going to talk about that. I saw that video too, by the way.
Yeah.
You
So
predicted that.
if you haven't seen it, check it out. Okay, because I already predicted it before CBS. So CBS, call me. All right. Look, it's not crazy. I love where everyone's like losing their mind. And hold on.
Yeah, everybody losing their mind. I think Shelton needs to just be hired by CBS and just get it over with, huh?
Yeah, look, I don't think it's that crazy to think that he's number 1. And here's what's going to happen. I made a whole video about it, and I kind of just summarized what I said. He's going to show up to the combine and look like an absolute freak. I mean, his stature is ridiculous. He's massive. Bryce Young is tiny, guys. Tiny. Y'all keep saying Stetson Bennett's short. Bryce Young is short. Okay? Bryce Young is ridiculously short. And so I think once they see these guys next to each other, they're like, how do we overlook Anthony Richardson? They're going to take into consideration the drama that's happened over the last 2 years with Dan Mullen and Billy Napier. He's the youngest quarterback of the three, I believe. And he's had the least amount of playing time. So the least amount of playing time than C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, and Bryce Young. And he's already a top 10 projected draft pick currently with all that already in mind. Okay? Eventually, all the negativity that happened last year will start to get drowned out because he'll go to the combine. He's going to look exceptional. He's going to be the fastest quarterback by far, if not the second fastest quarterback of all time behind Justin Fields. He'll clock a 4.45, sub 4.5, okay? He's going to have probably the strongest arm. Will Levis has a strong arm as well. He'll struggle in accuracy, and again, he's going to have these weaknesses, but these coaches are going to overlook all that. They're going to see, if you go look at his stats, his last year's stats, they mimic Josh Allen. Josh Allen went number 3. And look what Josh Allen's been able to do. I think what's going to happen is the Colts, what's being said is the Colts are going to trade for the first-round draft pick, who just hired their new coach from the Eagles, who just worked with Jalen Hurts. And they're going to sit back and it's like, do we want to be the team that passed up on Anthony Richardson? I think you're more likely to get away with it if you draft Anthony and it's a bust versus drafting somebody else and missing out on Anthony. I just don't feel like CJ or Bryce are that explosive, if that makes sense. I don't feel like they're a generational talent, in my opinion. I don't think they're a Joey Burrow or a Trevor Lawrence. I really don't. Not right now anyways. I just think they're the best available for this draft class.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it too, him coming from the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, I mean, when Jalen Hurts entered the NFL, he wasn't the best quarterback, especially that draft class. But, I mean, he was okay in college. But you see what happened as he progressed.
He was a Heisman finalist in college, but
well, I mean, he wasn't the best passer at all, if you were asking me. But anyway, he was because he's on Alabama. I mean, Alabama, obviously he has all the weapons around him. But I mean, like, you get to the NFL, you're playing with the best of the best. Jalen Hurts got way better from college to the NFL, and I think that maybe he sees that he can do that also with Anthony Richardson, and probably will trade up to get Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, obviously, he's going to have to work on a short passing game. Obviously, he can heave the football a million yards. He throws a pretty accurate deep pass.
Sure.
But he's going to have to work on his accuracy, mid-range, low-level range, and possibly maybe these coaches think that they can do that for him. He's going to kill the combine, like you said. I mean, he's going to probably run like a 4.4 flat, or not even a 4.4 flat, but probably like 4.45, 4.46, somewhere in there. And then he'll probably bench a whole bunch of weight. He'll put up a whole bunch of numbers, have a good vertical, all that other kind of stuff. I think Bryce Young's the better passer out of all of them, but that's just
most
my opinion.
accurate. Couldn't agree more.
Most accurate passer, yeah.
Couldn't agree
But
more.
you know, you're recruiting, like you said, you're recruiting him, I guess, in the NFL based on talent alone, just physical talent alone,
And the upside.
and the fact that he doesn't have a lot of mileage. Like Dameon Pierce did not have a lot of mileage when he came to the NFL. Those teams are saying, man, 6 yards a carry, almost 7 yards a carry, and the dude's only touched the ball 7 times a game. I mean, he's never been hurt.
There's going
never
to be
been
something to
ran,
be said about that
know.
too. It's like, well, look what Damian came out and did. Maybe there's an issue in Florida. It's not the kid. It's Florida that's the issue. And until we are able to change that narrative, again, that's where I think that's going to start to come into play. And Callie makes a point. He says, how many seasons has AR played healthy? Well, he only had 2 seasons. And to say that he was injured that his sophomore campaign with Mullen, how much of that was Mullen?
Really start, though.
How much of that was Mullen just saying that so he didn't have to fight the noise of who's starting this week?
It was a hamstring injury.
It was a hamstring injury. How serious was it really? And again, he got a hammy because the guy sitting on the bench and they came out and ran for 65 yards, right? Now, how serious of an injury was that? Now, last year, yes, I feel like he probably dealt with an injury all year long.
I think
he doesn't give me injury-prone vibes. He doesn't give me injury-prone vibes, in my opinion. I think he's had a few things that went wrong with him. How much of it do we really? I don't know. He doesn't. I know he's had injury struggles in the past. I know we've talked about it on this show. But he doesn't give me Carson Wentz vibes, right? Where he's just going to be constantly just a dumb nagging injury. I could be wrong, but I don't think he has that. So,
well, if you look at the kind of the leg injury he had last year, he still played through it. Like, I mean, it's not like he had to sit out and he wasn't playing. Like, he played through that injury. A lot of people said, well, he's not really hurt. That's why he's not running. I particularly think he was hurt, and that's why he wasn't running as much. Towards the end of the year, he started running a little bit more. But he played through the injury. I mean, it's not like he sat on the bench all day and was like, oh, I need surgery, nothing like that. But, I mean, as far as Richardson goes, I mean, I think he's worthy of a first-round draft pick based on potential, but not really based on results, if you were to ask me.
Correct, performance. And Chris Williams says he's not throwing at the combine. Is that a fact? I would be shocked if he didn't throw. I think it would benefit to him to throw. And AR is up to 250 pounds and running a 4.4. That's what Zach and Nick are saying. So if they said that on Stadium and Gale this morning, then probably he isn't throwing. I figured he would throw a little bit. He may be throwing so he may not throw at the combine, but I know for a fact he's throwing at the pro day. Correct?
Yeah,
those are 2 different things.
I believe so. Yeah, I haven't. I believe it doesn't. As long as you throw at one of them, pro day or NFL combine, or you can do both. As long as you just show them something, then
sure, he needs to throw at one of them.
It's probably safer for him to throw at pro day just because he's where obviously he's going to be at Florida. He's going to be throwing to, I guess, people that he knows. I don't know how they do that. I'm guessing he's throwing to receivers that he knows, whatever. And
that's what I'm saying. He's going to at his combine,
random people.
At the combine, he's throwing to random people, may not know the route as well, the receiver for sure. At the pro day, it's with guys he's been practicing with over the last few weeks. That's what I'm saying. He's going to look phenomenal at the pro day. So he's throwing at the pro day, not the combine. And look, right now they got him labeled at 6'4", 230, but he's probably going to come in at 6'5", 6'6". That 6'4" number is probably pretty old, and see him at 250. Elliot says $20. AR doesn't get through his rookie season without injury. He'll miss at least 1 game. I don't disagree with you. It could happen. I don't know, man. Joey Burrow went down his first year, and Joey Burrow doesn't.
It's hard to predict.
Yeah, like that's
hard to predict injuries.
You got the odds on that one, bro. You got the odds on that one. But all right, boys.
I'm not going to.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's hard to predict injuries anyway, so I wouldn't even really bet on that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Soderquist, thank you for hopping on. We're going to get Steve on here as we transition into the next topics here, but I appreciate you coming on and talking Gator football with us, big dog. And we got some big news coming with old Soderquist that will be releasing soon, so make sure you guys keep your ear to the ground and stay tuned for that.
Yes, sir. Big news coming up. Thank you, Shelton, for letting me on one more time and signing off here. And go Gators.
Go Gators, big dog. Later, buddy.
Later.
Oh, there is this ugly mug that I have to add into this thing. My good. There he is, boys and girls. He's got his creepy doll in the background, his ugly-ass shirt, and that big-ass forehead.
Love it.
Steve and Chad, welcome to the stream, big guy. How are you?
My friend. Thanks for having my creepy doll on, and I put this shirt on just for the family. I knew they would be expecting it. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. I'm a little frustrated though right now because there's over 200 50 people in the chat and only 50 likes. Like, how can we even get 100 likes? You know what I'm saying?
My goodness. Every week we have to do this. It's
Clint,
almost like we're a broken record. Like, it should just be natural.
Clint says getting swamped, question mark. Getting swamped is an awesome podcast. He is an awesome podcast. And that's where, again, we're big news coming. So stay tuned for that. We're excited for what's coming. We're working on. All right, Steve, we got some stuff to talk about. It's college football news.
We do.
We're gonna just dive right into the juicy stuff here. All right, this at this point, everyone's already heard what Deion said, Coach Prime, about how he chooses his quarterbacks and his defensive linemen. We're gonna break it down in 2 segments here. Okay. First segment is this happened during Super Bowl weekend, I believe, on it with an interview on the Rich Eisen show. It slowly kind of trickled out with a few people. What's funny is 247 wrote about it and then deleted the article. Why do I know this? Because I was going to make a video about it and chose not to because it just felt like we were going into uncharted territories. And what everybody was talking about it, which I didn't want to get into, which was political reasons, I was looking at it from a sports background. So I stayed away. But now everybody's talking about it again. It's starting to make its rounds. I haven't really read any articles about it just yet, but I am seeing people claim it as a controversy. What they are saying, I don't know because I haven't read it. Typically, I try not to read these things because I don't like to persuade or change my opinion on it. I like to go in it raw dogging it if I can. If I feel like I don't have enough knowledge, then I'll go into it or read a little bit about it. But this one I felt pretty confident about and what I had already read. Have you seen anything of why it's being called a controversy?
Just because it seems like the way that he's describing the roles that he's looking for in each position, it seems like it pierces a societal thing. I don't know. It's almost like it's too built for what people just don't want to talk about, to be completely honest with you. But if you can just take that part, the societal part, just take it out of the equation here and just look at how it applies from what he's describing, what he's looking for in an individual unit segment, like an offensive line, a defensive line, skip the whole part in the middle where your emotions and your feelings may get in the middle and in the way, and then just apply it to a football scenario. It makes sense. It's not completely out of the realm of just rationalization to see like what he's saying kind of makes sense. Like you're looking for certain skill sets and certain characteristics and traits that go with each position. You want a fast wide receiver. I love new
credit Holly. Holly, I mean, that was, you said it perfectly. I mean, that was well done. I mean, you know what you deserve, Steve?
Thanks.
Well done. Really well said. Okay, yeah. Callie Elliott says, "Can you summarize Deion's statements?" Yes. So what he said was when he's looking to, and I'll get into it now. So I'm gonna elaborate on what you also said. But his quote, I should probably look it up so I don't butcher it. Hold on. I'm just gonna look up because I don't want to mess it up. It's not going to be hard to find.
Yeah, let's give it quote for quote. And again, before anybody gets into their feelings and emotions or whatever political website you go to read, take all of that out of it. It doesn't exist in this platform.
Yes, that's exactly like that's what got me upset because when I read it from a football thought process. What you just said. And then I was reading articles about it, and it became a political-driven force. And I'm like, I don't want to get involved with this because I wasn't even thinking that. Like, how the hell are we even here already? Like, that's what annoys me. I don't want to get any further in it because we're already, by even just hinting at it, we're dipping our toe in the water, and I don't want to get in the water, okay? Here's what he said. He said, we want mother, father, dual parents, Sanders says, when they're looking for a quarterback. We want that kid to be 3.5 GPA and up because he's got to be smart. He can't make bad decisions off the field. And then he said it's a bullet point, 1 second. And then he referred to drafting defensive linemen. Oh, but when it comes to defensive linemen, he kind of laughs, says, single mama. He's on free lunches. Trying to rescue mama is what he looks for. When I read this, and when I heard him say it, I was like, hell yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. Here's how I interpreted it. Okay, my parents are divorced. when he was saying, hey, how I read it was, hey, when I want a mother-father household for the quarterback. From somebody who comes from a divorced household, and this is not a knock, I wouldn't change it for the world, right? I believe I'm more in that mindset of a defensive lineman, like I'm hungry, right, to make it work, right, to make something happen. Where somebody who comes from a one-parent house or a two-parent household has the ability, they carry themselves with much more poise, right? They're confident in themselves. They're comfortable in who they are, right? And that's who you want at the quarterback position. Somebody who's comfortable, confident in and they know who they are. They haven't had to necessarily fight for attention or fight for this or fight for that. They're just sound. They're a sound human being, right? That's when I read that, when I saw that. When I saw the defensive lineman comment, right? Got a dog in him. Okay? Somebody who's constantly fighting for attention. He's getting passed around. Or maybe he's going over here. He's visiting over here. He's constantly getting moved around. He's seeing this. He's seeing that, right? That's what I thought. That's how I felt about it. And I love that you're adamant about that because you understand, like, hey, it's a mindset. I can find a 6'5", absolute beast. There's a guy that works at our work right now. I was talking to Todd about him. The guy is massive. He works on the TSA side. Yeah. I saw him walk by me. I'm like, what are you doing here?
Like I could sit on your shoulders and
get your ass on the line, son. You know what I mean? But again, it goes down to kind of where they come from and if they have that dog mentality. And so when I read those comments, I was like, I love that he said that. Like, I love that he was, very open about it. It's like that's who we're going after. I thought it was great. How it turned into a political thing got me very frustrated. I didn't feel that way at all. I felt again like where you come from, what you go through, translates to how you are on the football field. And he even said for his offensive lineman, he wants the same thing, a two-parent household. Again, what are you saying? I don't need a hothead. I don't need somebody who's going to come in there buck wild. I need my offensive lineman to keep it cool. I don't need them hopping off the line. I don't need them getting false starts. I don't need them throwing fits. I need them to stay collected in their realm and be able to keep it in front of them, right?
Yeah, I believe his criteria for offensive line was a 3.3 GPA and up. They got to be tough, and he wanted a father in the household because in his mind he believes that is instilled discipline from day one. And for an offensive lineman, you can't be the aggressor in a football scenario. You have to stay set. You have to know exactly when you can and cannot move. 1 second early, a half second early, and you take a penalty. You have to be completely disciplined in what you are doing. You have to understand the game on a different level. The defensive line is just taught to be absolute savages and to rip and go and just get after everything you can take. Right?
And you can teach some of that.
It's just the mindset that you have when you get there. Yes, for sure you can.
But if you got it already built in you
get there and then teach it. Oh my gosh, that's when you get these NFL guys that are just absolute monsters. Like Ndamukong Suh. I mean, they couldn't even control that guy. He had so much of that in him, right? Could you imagine Suh as big as he was trying to play offensive line? Like you've got 94 false start penalties. You're starting from inside the one every drive. Guy can't sit still. That's not his thing. But think about those two concepts of what you're looking for outside of the build, outside of 6'5", 300 pounds, strong as an ox. That's not what he's saying. Is he needs the mindset of what these players are when they come onto the field. He can teach them the mechanics. He can teach them different parts. He can take somebody who might be undersized, who has the right mindset of what they know they're supposed to do. And it's not, again, like let's just transcend the whole socioeconomic nonsense that everybody insisted upon injecting into what he's trying to say and just take that piece out. Just look at the two components of what he's saying. Background, football application. Look at those two things and it's genius. Now, the other thing I will say is just because Deion is the first person to say it doesn't mean that Deion is the first person doing it. Because other coaches have been out there
He's just vocal
with this
about it.
mindset for a long time. He's just vocal. And that's just what Deion does, right? He's just saying all the same stuff everybody else has been doing.
And again, to kind of dip our toe a little bit, that's kind of where it's like he can get away with saying something like that where other coaches may not get away with. I kind of compare it to like a Dave Portnoy situation where Portnoy says whatever he feels and thinks, and he's at a point now where the cancel culture does not exist for that man because it's just like he's so upfront about it. The guy gets a sex tape drop about him. He goes, so what? Here's another one. You know what I mean? Like, he's untouchable. And there's people like that just, the way they carry themselves, it's like Joe Rogan, untouchable. Like, it's just, like, they're just the way they manage their personality. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I kind of expected that. That's who they are. So it's just, to me, I hate that.
Because they're consistent in who they are.
Correct. That's how it is.
And they're not apologetic about it.
Yes, they don't
apologize. Like real fast. We'll go back to the Tiger thing with the little slip of the tongue. The first time that Tiger apologized, Tiger messed up.
You lost credibility.
Apologize for that. You lost credibility.
This is why.
No, I know what I did and moved on. That's why Rogan and those guys and Portnoy and a lot of these other figures, nothing phases them. Why? Because they don't apologize for who they are. Tiger should have never said
Conor
anything.
McGregor.
Like, yeah, it was a joke between two friends.
Kyle Busch, the greatest race car driver outside of Dale Earnhardt, obviously. Love the guy to death. That's his motto. He called out Joey Logano, who's an absolute bitch stick, about this because he's like, Joey's your best friend off the field. It's like, hey man, what's going on? Let's hang out, blah, blah, blah. And then goes on the course, on the track, and is crashing you all over the track, right? And he's two-faced. And Joey's like, yeah, I am two-faced, blah, 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 blah. Like, you're a passive little bitch. That's what I think about when I look at Joey Logano. And Kyle's like, I'm just a dick all the time. You know that who I am here is who I am there. And I love that. And I think that's the same thing. It's just like, Deion's not a dick, but he's just the same in your face. I'm going to tell you how I'm feeling, how I'm thinking all the time. And look, that's why I gravitate towards what Coach Prine's been able to do, because I feel like what he's saying and what he's doing is he's telling me the truth. I don't think it's just a bunch of fluff and bull malarkey. Yeah. That's kind of how I look at it.
Agreed.
So,
I like it.
Love it. All right, boys. Next we have LSU and the boys strikes again. I think is it a Brian Kelly thing? Is it a wide receiver thing? What is it? Because I mean, you think about like wide receivers. Just let's kind of like think about it, right? Like, and we'll go to the NFL. We got Henry Ruggs. We got Calvin Ridley. We got the wide receiver from Georgia, right? Now this kid. What's up, boys? What's going on with the wide receivers? Raise hell, praise hell. Absolutely, Jimbo. Best believe, baby. We'll talk NASCAR. We'll talk NASCAR at the end if you guys want. I can piss and drink NASCAR all day long. That's my jam. Nobody likes it, so I gotta keep to myself. It's like frowned upon. It's like NASCAR ain't what it used to be. They put a place on there about Toyota now. I don't want to talk about no more.
Toyota's out there.
Don't talk. Let's calm down, okay? Like, I don't know who racing no more. NASCAR died when Dale died. I got it. All right. Shit. Relax. I heard you.
Jesus, people.
LSU.
What's going on?
Carrying
LSU,
guns.
Man. It's you know what happens in LSU and I think the entire state of Louisiana. It's Mardi Gras. Like the crazy comes out in everybody. And look, there's a lot of crazy to come out of people in Louisiana. People want to give Florida a hard time for being absolutely out of their minds. Louisiana has got a different level of crazy out there in the bayou. And look, it's just a funny mix of folks out there in Louisiana. A little bit different than Florida, but they're still just as crazy.
What's frustrating to see is, he's gonna get away with it. Nothing's gonna happen. No, and nobody's gonna remember this game or remember that this happened. Brian Kelly's gonna brush under the rug, typical Brian Kelly, not even address it, and we're all gonna forget about it per usual. Look, I mean, Saban got away with that kid punching somebody in the damn Tennessee game. Chick punched a girl. He got away with it. Unbelievable.
Say nothing and they forget. Yep.
Unbelievable. At least at Florida, we hold guys accountable. You know what I'm saying? We don't do anything wrong at Florida. Anyways, moving on. Real quick, a couple of the comments getting wild here. Zach Driggin says, F Driggers. Zach, if you don't mind, tell me how old you are, first of all, because that's going to help with this argument. Number two, you said Formula One is better. Formula One is not better, okay? Here's what Formula One did a great job of. They created a Netflix series. And now all of a sudden, you guys are Formula One experts and think you know all about it. And like, oh, I'm going to tune in to watch Formula One. Shut the hell up. Don't tell me that you'd rather go watch these European guys, these pretty boys, show up in their Formula One cars, okay? Driving around the cities of Miami, okay? Time trials. All right? Just stop it. You're trying to tell me that's better? You know what? That Cookie Crunch came and really got nice and hot today as we came around turn 4. He was bumping and dragging me a little bit. He flipped me off as he drove by me, but I just kept on. You're trying to tell me that Formula One's better than that? And now I know it's not to that same level anymore, okay? But Formula One is not better than NASCAR. I know NASCAR's in a weird place right now and it needs to figure its shit out and get back to its roots, okay? But you watch your mouth. Don't you ever curse like that on my show again, okay?
The first time you can tell me that that winning a race and having your pit crew pour beer over you as opposed to milk is better, you keep milk all day. I'll take beer 100% of the time. Milk, bunch of milk lovers.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what's not on a single NASCAR? A milk advertisement. Not on a single NASCAR. You know what's on every NASCAR?
Budweiser, Bud Light, Busch, Miller Lite, America's drink, baby. Yeah. Zach says, "Oh gosh, you guys got to stop." Zach says he's 20, and he goes, "I've been watching before that Netflix shit. Because the fact that you were 20 means that you missed out on the golden years." Okay, boogity boogity boogie. Let's go racing, boys. You damn right, Scott. You damn right. Okay, Plumber. It's not. But Formula One is not better than.
There you go, Scott.
Jimbo says I'm lactose intolerant. Exactly. You can't slingshot in Formula One racing, boys. Okay, you're not slingshotting. They use champagne. Even worse, they literally are spraying Budweiser in NASCAR, and sometimes Gatorade if they're not trying to get too drunk. Okay, like you don't do champagne. That's for baseball. Okay, you pop champagne in baseball. Know your role. Okay.
Maybe NBA. NBA gets that too. I think. Yeah, I think NBA and baseball are the only two that get that
in the locker room, which is fine.
The locker room, of course,
that's fine. Because on the field they'll drink buds. Yeah. I'm glad that we've got a few NASCAR / racing fans in here. That excites me. It's not completely dead. Okay. Outside of Dale Earnhardt, we're not even going to bring him in the conversation. Who's the GOAT of racing? Look, it's not Kyle Busch. I know he's one of the greats. He's one of the greats. Definitely one of the greats. He just never won.
The GOAT. If you take Earnhardt out, I mean, Jeff Gordon was a pretty boy, but God, he was around forever and won a ton of races. He's had to be up there in the conversation, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Jimmy Johnson though.
I would say, yeah, I couldn't fight.
It's unfortunate, but it's Jimmy. Callie says F1 equals best car wins, NASCAR equals best driver wins, which means NASCAR is better. Oh, Indy cars with milk. You get the wrong sport. Is that the same thing?
It's all the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
No, the Indianapolis 500 is the milk. It's still F1 racing.
Richard Petty,
right?
That's way too old.
Yeah. Well, you know, we'll do a segment about it next week.
Isn't the Indy and Formula One the same damn thing?
That's what I'm saying. It's the Indianapolis 500. I think is the race that they do the milk.
Tony Stewart.
That race.
Stop it. Ugh. Disgusting.
I don't know. Disgusting. I mean, that guy killed like 3 people. So I don't know how good of a
Oh, jeez. All right, we digress. All right, we got a little bit of a lot to talk about here. So next we have 3 separate things here, and this was Steve. Do you want to explain it? The pressure.
Yeah. So look, we were talking about just some of the different concepts of a coach in college football right now being under pressure. And when I say under pressure, I don't mean on the hot seat. On the hot seat means you're basically 1 foot out the door and you're about to get fired. The administration is done with you. But just because you're not on the hot seat doesn't mean as a coach that you're not under a lot of pressure. And we kind of broke this down a little bit in the precast. Pressure can be one of 3 things, we believe. And there could be other categories, but these are the 3 that we believe really fit the big mold here. So you have, first, coaches that performed at a high level in 2022 that now need to carry that over into 2023.
Let's do that first then before you go any further.
Yeah, we'll do that one first. So look, you performed at a high level. You are now, as a coach, under a lot of pressure to keep that going into 2023. If not, you may just be a joke of a coach, and it was a one-time one-hit wonders per se.
So the pressure to follow up is the title here. Yep. So obviously they're not on the hot seat, but they still got to perform because, like you said, there's a lot of expectations. And who we have for our top 3, I can't remember the third name, but not Jimbo, Mike Norvell for Florida State.
Yep.
Lincoln Riley, and who was the third one?
Josh Heupel was the one I kind of threw
Oh,
in
that's
there
right.
at the last
That's a
minute.
good one. That's a good one. So
Yeah.
out of those three, I
Because
feel like those
they're changing the quarterback, and they got to have a defense. They got to figure out that defense. I liked Heupel as an offensive coordinator, and I think Joe Milton will be a good segue from Hooker to in quarterback. But they got to find a defense. But look, Josh Heupel brought Tennessee from just mediocrity year after year after year, and if he can continue what he did last year, even in a similar regard, that's a big thing. Now, if they fall back into the middle of the pack, then again, last year was just a
So of
flash.
those three, who do you think is dealing who's going to be feeling the most or has the most pressure to be successful?
So Mike Norvell, there was an article that came out here just a few weeks ago that Mike Norvell returns 84% of his previous year's offensive production. Not the players, not the yardage, but the actual production. So if you look at the total offensive production for Florida State as a whole and the players that contributed to that, Florida State brings back 84% of that production. We lost Trayshawn Ward. He transferred to K-State. We lost a couple of folks here and there. But that is the highest percentage in the NCAA, 84%. And that's the highest percentage by about 12% on the next team at number 2. I think Mike Norvell, with the team that he has and the team that he was able to keep together, not losing Johnny Wilson to the draft, not losing Trey Benson, not losing, obviously, the quarterback and all the other positions of what he was able to bring in. I think Mike Norvell, with those other two coaches, has to be under the most pressure based on what he's walking into starting 2023.
I think the contract, his contract that he just signed, doesn't help with that. I think Heupel also signed a big contract too. I think he has a little bit of an excuse being in the SEC and the fact that you have to go up against Georgia. That's going to alleviate some of the pressure. It's between, for me, Lincoln Riley and Norvell. Again, with it being Lincoln Riley's second year, he has a little bit of a leniency than, again, someone like a Mike Norvell. And the media is not doing Florida State any favors at all.
No.
So I would have to agree with you that the pressure probably is the most on Norvell, with it being his 4th season now. So he's, out of those three that we just said, the most established head coach. He's got back-to-back seasons with the transfer portal at number 1. He's got 84% coming back, and the media is doubling down on him, as well as the ACC being at a down point right now. It's wide open. The Pac-12 seems to be getting stronger. The SEC obviously is the strongest, and you got Norvell kind of like it's yours to lose, big dog. So yeah, I have to agree with you on that. Then yeah, it's definitely Florida State, which is look. It's a mindset. I feel like the Patriots lived in that helm of like, we want the pressure, we want to be the top dog, and some people capitalize on that. And I think you're going to find out this year if Mike Norvell is made for that or if he's not.
Yep, agree entirely. And that's like, I know you've given me a hard time for being somewhat, I guess,
a bitch about it.
Reserved in my predictions for next year. But that's mainly the reason why, is because it's set up so well that anything short of a playoff, and you're like, wow, that was an opportunity lost. But
if I could, I'd hand you a tampon right now, but I can't.
Thank you. And I wouldn't like take it and make a scene about it. I would be just fine. It'd be a great joke. We would laugh about it amongst friends. All right. So the next category, coaches that underperformed, that have to change the trajectory in 2023.
But they're not on the hot seat. We don't believe that if they do underperform again, that they will be fired. Now, I think there's always a level that they could underperform, but we feel like if things were to stay the same or drop a little bit, they're not on the hot seat yet, just due to what they're able to do. And those three names are?
So we have Jimbo Fisher.
Okay.
Gosh, that guy has got to figure something out.
Honestly, with his, and I think thankfully because he did so poorly that he could win. How many games did they win? Four. They could win 5 and he would still be safe. But because of the contract, their hands are tied. So that's why we don't put him in the hot seat, because there's just too much there. Who else we got?
We got Lane Kiffin. Kiffin, and we threw that one in there because look, Lane Kiffin started out 7-0 going into the LSU game. They lost that game pretty sizably. They beat Texas A&M, but then they finished the season actually, if you take the Texas A&M game and you factor that in, they were 1-for-5 to finish the season after going 7-0.
Real quick,
guys.
1-for-5. Guys, you're not listening. It's not the hot seat. There's pressure. So they're not on the hot seat. Yes, they had a poor performance, but we don't feel that they're on the hot seat. We talked about Billy and Mario, but they're in a weird scenario where it could turn to the hot seat really quickly. These three coaches we do not believe are anywhere near the hot seat. Jimbo is a little bit of an outlier due to the contract in place, but that's where we're at. So, as you were, sorry.
Yeah, they're not getting fired. These guys aren't getting fired. They just have to show some progression from where they ended last year based on just the overall outcome or how they finished the season. How they finished the season was definitely Joey Freshwater, Lane Kiffin, going 1-for-5 after going 7-0. So look, got to bounce back from that. And then the last one we had was something that Shelton and I went back and forth on in the precast, and we came up together with old Sarkisian out in Texas. They finished 8-5. They were 6-3 in the conference. They beat their main rival Oklahoma 49-0. You throw those things together, and you would say, "Hey, that sounds like a good season all around." But in the grand scheme of things, they lost to Texas Tech. They lost to Oklahoma State. They lost to TCU in a 10-17 ball game. I don't know where the offense was with that. But then they finished the season losing to Washington. They end up 8-5, but with the team that they had, and I know they lost their quarterback for about 4 games, but with the team that they had going in and the expectations that they had going in, I don't think 8-5 is going to satisfy the Texas fan base. I don't think it's going to satisfy the administration. And I don't think that I don't think
Sarkisian is going anywhere with the recruiting class that he just brought in. But 8-5 is going to be unacceptable, especially coming into the SEC. So out of those three, Muddy brought up a good point. He said Mac Brown from UNC. But out of the three that we mentioned, who do you think has the most pressure?
I'm going to go with Sarkisian. I don't think that Jimbo's going anywhere. I think that Ole Miss, their expectations on a year-to-year basis are they're just a little bit lower than I think the other two schools in Texas and Texas A&M. So I think Joey Freshwater can stay a little longer than the other two, even if he has another rough season. Texas has a short fuse. They have shown that they will make moves pretty quickly. I think they like Sarkisian, but if Sarkisian comes out with another 8-5 season going into the SEC in 2024, I don't know if they feel like they have their guy. So I would put Sarkisian under the most pressure, not on the hot seat, but the most pressure to succeed in 2023.
This is a tough one. So I don't think Lane Kiffin's going to be on there. I think Lane Kiffin's done a good enough job for Ole Miss, and they're okay with mid football in Mississippi. They're used to it. So I think he's got so much swagger about him. He can kind of get away with doing with whatever he wants. He kind of put Ole Miss, in my opinion, back into not contention, but he put them on the map for kind of sorta. Like we talk about Ole Miss each year. That's Ole Miss wins. Let's be honest. I think they would like to do more, but the fact that we talk about them and then they're in a conversation and they're ranked top 10 for a little bit and they're tickling the toes, people like it. To me, it's got to be Jimbo. Yeah. You can't follow up. I think Sarkisian's a good one. I think the Big 12 was a little tough last year, especially with the national championship game hosting a Big 12 player. I think they lost a lot of bad games, but I think Jimbo lost more bad games. The pressure's got to be on Jimbo at this point. You can't be you're a national championship winner. You're at the highest recruiting class of all time. You lost half your team. You had kind of a mediocre recruiting class the following season. That can turn into the hot seat, in my opinion, a lot faster than it will for Sarkisian, simply due to the fact that Arch is there, and if they know that Sarkisian has a lot to do with Arch Manning coming to Texas, they're not going to jeopardize that relationship. And so, for those reasons, I think Jimbo is on the hot seat. What's funny here is Scott 020, and I said this as well.
He threw your name in the hat.
He said Ryan Day, and I said Ryan Day as well too. He also said Jimmy Boy in Michigan, and I couldn't agree more. The reason why I said Ryan Day, I was adamant about Ryan Day, but it's easy to get blinded by the 10-2 record. But that's your job at Ohio State. Your job is to win the Big Ten. If you don't win the Big Ten, nothing else matters. And the one thing but Steve and I had a hard time overcoming was he did play in the playoff game. I argued the fact that he fell into a playoff game. It wasn't like he earned himself a playoff game. But yeah, I think Ryan Day has a lot of pressure as well. Honestly, now that we're talking about it even more out loud, I'm kind of go back on my word here. I think Ryan Day could easily be argued for number one. I think just because the expectations, the expectations. Yeah, the expectations at Ohio State are much higher. And again, he's not on the hot seat because he's still going 10-2 and playing in a playoff game. But yeah, at what point? Like the last time they won was Urban Meyer, and this was what happened with, I can't think of Sweater Vest's name, but that was the reason why he got pushed out. It was like you're existing.
You're too close and not winning. Yeah,
this isn't March Madness. You're Mark Richt. You're becoming Mark Richt, and we can't have that. Ohio State's that's unacceptable. With the recruiting class that you're able to put up every year, and be able to basically you have a monopoly up there. You've got to do a lot better. So.
Yeah, they got to get one over the top. I mean, they made it to one championship game. Alabama kind of spit roasted them a little bit and made that game a little ridiculous. So
Garrett says Ryan is odd. Born on third base, never got home. That's perfectly described. I mean, like literally, that's literally like that's what I say every time. Like the guy got handed a cupcake and doesn't know how to eat it with his hand, eat it with a fork. That's literally that's what he's saying. I love that, Garrett. I love that analogy. That's phenomenal. Ryan Day isn't close. I disagree. Jim Tressel, thanks guys. Appreciate you, boys.
He's got to start feeling a little bit of pressure. He didn't win the Big Ten. He lost his.
Look, it's not Q. Q Lee saying Ryan Day is safe. This isn't a safer hot seat thing. It's just there's pressure to do well. I don't think any of these guys that we just mentioned on the hot seat. Pay attention to the rules, please. John Day says, "What's up, Sheldon? Great job interviewing the Gators. You did a tremendous job, brother. Appreciate it, man. They're awesome. Hey guys, can we make sure we get 200 likes? We got a dislike in there. I don't know who's hating on us, but let's see if we can get 200 likes. We really appreciate it for the love and support. All right, last little bit here, and we'll call it a night. Take it home, Stevie.
All right, brother. So last category. So we've got new coaches coming in. There's obviously pressure on a new coach to come in and succeed, do well. So look, they've got a little bit more flack, a little bit more leeway. They haven't put their own players on the field. They haven't even been able to really spend more than a calendar year in their own office, to be said. But that being said, with all the new coaches coming in, you've got Luke Fickell, you've got Matt Rule. Coaches, first year, obviously under a lot of pressure. We got two names that we're going to throw out there that we felt were the two biggest names that really have to perform well in year one. The first one, I think we can all agree, Deion Sanders out in Colorado. With the amount of hype that he has created, with the amount of noise, with the amount of media, how we started this show with him, with the amount of cameras and time and the just traction that this guy has got all over the internet and just the media in general. He's got to win some ball games, man. He's got to come out there and actually play football after all this talk. And then the second we have is old Hugh Freeze down in Auburn. He was the last coach that made Ole Miss relevant. He took a little bit of a hiatus when he went out to Liberty College, and he's now back in the SEC at Auburn, who does not tend to have a very, very patient fan base. So Deion Sanders and Hugh Freeze are probably the two biggest coaches under the most pressure to succeed year one.
We had Rule and out on there as well, but I think we kind of eliminated it because the fan base is a little more chill. Even though I think Nebraska is excited to get back to Nebraska days, they also understand that like we're not even close, and they're a little more reasonable. Now I could be wrong. Maybe if we went to Nebraska, it would be a little bit different. But how he broke it down was into two parts. I think the media and the hatred for Coach Prime and Deion and the people that are wanting him to fail is just creating the ultimate pressure that I don't think any other coach, all the coaches we just talked about, are having to deal with. Now, you can claim that he's brought it upon himself. I'm not saying feel bad for Coach Prime. I'm not saying that at all, 100%. I think it's prime time. He wants all the lights on him. And with that comes a lot of pressure and a lot of flack and a lot of criticism. I think look, you and I kind of bit back and forth. You think Auburn's fan base is kind of like Florida's fan base, where they're a little buck wild, and even though they haven't been good in a very long time, they feel that they're Auburn University and that they should be back to Cam Newton days. I've never really looked at Auburn and thought, man, that's a powerhouse football team. Could be wrong, but they've never intimidated me. Outside before Cam, they were nobody in my opinion, and after Cam, they've been nobody. Now they've won some good big games. They've been able to prove, do some work, but I don't think they are. I think it's 100% on Coach Prime, and Deion there in Colorado. I think it's going to be an insane amount of pressure. Now, does he feel that it's pressure? I don't know. I don't think he's even going to recognize it because he kind of creates it and lives that lifestyle. Is it going to appear to be pressure to him, or it's just, I know I'm here. They're here because I'm prime time. You know what I mean? Like that's something that's, yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. Over under on Colorado wins. I think the actual like Vegas bet is 4.5. I'm willing to make that bet. I'm willing to take that. I'll take the 4.5. What if throw some cheddar down on that real quick?
I like
Man,
that.
Colorado
I
won
like
one
that.
game. If Prime wins 4.5 games, that's a success.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, because the back half, man, you got USC, UCLA, Washington State, TCU you're playing as well. Who else do they got? That's a tough schedule. They've got a pretty hefty schedule. So coming in year one, I love how if we give him 4 wins, it's okay, but Billy had to come in and win the damn SEC conference his first year. You like that?
Yeah, his opening game is TCU.
Yeah, Billy gets Utah, and we're like, yeah, we better go 10-2, and he goes 7-5, and it's like the guy sucks. We got to move on. Like what the hell?
Defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
Love it.
good bet. Why is Steve wearing that ugly FSU shirt? All the good ones were dirty. B-Bean. He does his laundry on Thursdays.
Yeah. This was the best I could come up with. Luckily if there's no smell-o-vision here. You guys would be just hating life with how rancid this thing is.
Well, boys and girls, ladies and gents, I think it was another phenomenal show on this wonderful. I mean, for the fact that we're able to keep the energy flowing in the middle of February. I mean, who's doing it? You know, we got out here, Country Bumpkin, old Armstrong coming in here, firing us up with the strongest visor game I've ever done. Did see
that thing is tall.
You know what I'm saying?
That is old school Spurrier vibes right there.
I got one too.
Tall ass visor.
I kind of hear. Hey, can you entertain while I go get my Florida visor? Entertain.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know what I'm supposed to entertain. Is that a piss missile back there? I believe so. Guys, how are we doing tonight? Where are we at on the likes? I'm not even looking at the likes. Did we get up to 200 yet, people? My goodness. So look, guys, how's everybody feeling about the new hire? What we didn't talk about. I didn't hear Soderquist and Shelton talk much about this. So the guy that you guys lost or were okay to let go, right? He was the co-defensive coordinator. All right, there's another defensive coordinator by the name of Sean Spencer, who's still on the roster. What does that make him? What does he become there? Oh, that is a tall. That.
Hey,
is
your boy's ready for Armstrong. Okay, bring in the smoke, boys. You know, look, bro. Tell me I'm not ready for him, bro. Put him on the sidelines, coach.
That's a whole head style of visor there. It's a whole head visor.
I can't think of the company I got it from, but shout out to them. I'll tag them on my Twitter. I'll clip this.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Woo. I might look. I got a little coach.
Oh.
Yeah, I got a little Armstrong vibe going on myself right now, boys. Hey, if we get uptick in visor sales, I want a percentage because I feel like we should honestly show up to the game. The first game, the orange and blue game, just visored out in support of our new DC. Thoughts, boys?
I mean, if they're not selling them outside the stadium, your marketing team's going all.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
They should already be ahead of this right now.
Like, I don't understand why Florida doesn't sell more of the old style visor hats. Like, it just Florida has just iconic vintage gear, and they don't capitalize on any of it. It makes me very frustrated. Like, vintage is in. People love it. Go remake it. You know?
It's nice. Yeah, I remember they were doing that with the recruits last year where they were all wearing
they all used Dave Freshly stuff.
We had them on the show.
Yeah, they all use this stuff, but I'm saying, like, go make it. Like, go make the fresh-ass visors. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to the boy Armstrong, baby.
Look, this is not a Chucky doll or whatever. People are still... All right, look. It is a table, people. It is a table. She is amazing.
Pick her up and show her to the screen.
Come here, you sexy little beast.
Look at the face, bro. What the fuck?
What are you talking about, man? She's a sturdy girl. I've had her since college. What are you talking? Like she's awesome.
It's the black lipstick for me. It's that I think that's the problem. It's the choker with the black lipstick. I think if she has a different flavor of lipstick, we may not feel as weirded out about it. It could have been the red light freaking us out a little bit, but it's got to. Yeah, keep the light down. It's freaking me out. Nobody can read it anyways.
She likes the ambiance. Okay, I like to treat her well. She's been around for a minute.
Hey boys,
is that better? Now that it doesn't have that creepy glow.
Hey guys, what do we think? If we who's going to the orange and blue game? That's in here right now. Who's in the chat? If I think we should all, if we have a visor, just rock the visors. What if we just have like a little section of the visor boys? You know what I'm saying? Hey, we come out, no shot. If we win game one. Well, excuse me, when we win game one, and we shut them down, Utah, and we get like every third and 9th stop. You best believe that following like the next 4 weeks, the visor game's gonna be strong. I'm not taking the bitch off. I might just start wearing, like, this bitch is fresh.
I mean,
like, I love this
little mini version made for Beck. What do you
like,
think here? A little
baby, absolutely.
Baby visor?
Like, I got it for.
Let's talk about it.
I got it for golf, and I honestly feel like the moment that this hat went on, I immediately I took 3 strokes off my game. Immediately. Like how the company that I bought it from, they have some incredible stuff, and I'm very upset that I can't remember who they are, but like this is high quality, just freshness. I love it, and they responded immediately when I asked them, "Hey, where can I get that?" Where is the when is the orange and blue game? It's like April 12th or some shit. UPS doesn't let you off on Thursday, Clint. you just give them one of those calls.
Come on, you're union. You can do it. They won't let you go.
I love it.
Let's see here.
Hey, boys. Tomorrow night, we've got another show. Let me finish. We'll be live at around like 8:45, 8:35 again. And then, which is Thursday. And then Friday, I will be on, what is the show called? With Ty. I don't want to mess up his name. It's like Around the Table Sports.
Yes, I believe that was what you said.
Around the Sports? Around the Table?
Around the Table.
Yeah, Around the Table Sports. I will be on his show on Friday. So if you guys want to come over and hang out, I'll be on that show on Friday. And then that'll be at 5:30 Friday. And then on Friday night, we'll be playing Blackjack live. So if you guys want to come over and hang out and play some Blackjack, we will be have a good time. Jam-packed week. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, turn the bell on. Visor is greater than hat. F1's greater than NASCAR. You can suck it, Zach. It's not. Stop. Stop. Stop.
I love it.
Boys and girls, love you as always. You guys are incredible, per usual, on this Wednesday night. Love you. Steve, good seeing you, Bubba. Love you. You guys have a good one. Until next time, I'm Shelton.
I'm Holly.
Boogity, 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 boys.
Cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never
boogity, 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 boys. Let's go racing. Fuck Formula One.
In the back bed, I'll show you what happens. Pass me the mic and I'll show you with action. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn